Well, guys, we closed another green week trading in the markets. And today I want to dive into what my day looked like. We'll kind of touch on the week and what this week looked like specifically. I had a call this morning when I was on my live session with the mentorship that I also wanted to share with you guys. Now, it is a longer call, which we'll end up playing here in a minute, where I really dive into live examples as the market was moving off the open this morning on what I was looking at, how I was interpreting my envelope system, our VWAP, our MACD, and again, the whole process and what I look at and what you guys probably have been tuning into on these sessions. So should hopefully kind of fill you in a little bit more on what I'm doing. Close a massive trade today, $1,800 profit. You could see there. This is on my broker, Thinkorswim, a regulated US broker. This is Charles Schwab's platform. I'm not sponsored or endorsed by them, but I just want to show you that. And with that said, let's pull up the mentorship group Discord server. Now, within the mentorship group Discord server, I did just post my equity curve. And this week, I did start the week off really strong. Monday, Tuesday were great. You can see I did give back a bit. Wednesday, Thursday was flat. So this was, Monday, Tuesday gave back on Wednesday, Thursday flat, and then made a little bit back today. So I did end the week down a little bit off of peak PNL. I'm showing you that from inside the trade journal I use because Charles Schwab just doesn't have a good equity curve, so it's kind of hard to show week by week performance as it's more long-term investing. But I use it for active day trading. I can show you here though the entries and then my exit. So look at this crazy pop into the close. That was a 62.90% net ROI. So I had just about $2,865 into this trade to make that gross PNL of 795 commissions and fees from my broker. Now you can see we were balanced on APP throughout the entire day. Obviously, we did continue reverting to our mean. Now, if we look at our VWAP here, what we saw, was obviously really strong push off the open, rejection at our top VWAP, break below our middle VWAP, traded down to our bottom VWAP. That is our low tide, traded along bottom VWAP, reverted back up to our mean or our middle VWAP, and then you could see my entry here. So upon a clear break above middle VWAP, gave it a couple minutes. Obviously, that was a good sign of hey, this thing's obviously staying and sticking above our middle VWAP, our mean here. We could look at volume at that time, looking at our MACD. Now, just because of how insane that volume was right there before the close, it's kind of hard to see in perspective what the volume looked like the rest of the day. But just looking at our MACD, if I drop it down here, we could see after that bearish momentum into that low here at around 16, 17. We saw across the MACD as we started to move to the upside here, pulled back a little bit, and that was this minor retracement. We came close to converging. Things looked like we might turn around, and then we got some more buyers coming in, bought this thing back up, again pushing it over our middle VWAP. And at that point, that was also enough to give us enough momentum to push over our green band, which we had been fighting. You could see we had several rejections on our green band, and that was obviously prior to our break below our mean, where we traded outside, almost outside of our envelope system alongside our outer furthermost band here, that blue band. So again, rejections, and then that was kind of a nice, hey, we definitely are going to move higher after we started forming bars on higher bands. So the first bar we formed on a real higher band there would have been our yellow band. You can see here how this bar did form close to our yellow band, and then our second bar pushed above, actually touched and formed closing on our purple band. And then now all of a sudden, look at that. We're trading on yellows, we're trading on purples. So confirmation of, again, further upside momentum. And so that was a good point at which to get involved. Obviously, that was also at which point my software did send me these APP calls. You can see here, one order at 159, second order at 203. These were the 926.25, 680 calls. Okay, and these were 7 DTE. So again, we look at the chart, we do our technical analysis. After I get the order from the software, we make sure our bias aligns, APP calls, and because of those reasons we just went over, I did take the entry here. Now, we did start to push up. Rejection, add that close to our high, right? There wasn't any really clear level here. Besides on our envelope system, we could see pretty clear rejection because we didn't actually break our blue band there. So whenever I see like prior action on the day, we were trading above our blue band, and then we start testing it again, getting up there, working our way through our bands, getting up to blue again. This was a little bit concerning. And then we reverted back down to our mean because remember, we were still balanced at this time throughout the entire day actually, and then worked off of our mean. So really good sign here that we did only drop down to red. Why is that? Well, because earlier in the day when we saw similar action, well, we dropped straight to purple. So we held reds and then obviously moved back up into our greens, our yellows, and then this here was just crazy. All of a sudden, we saw this enormous spike of volume, and this was a moment where it was reverting back to the software here, someone knew something. And I ended up capitalizing, actually was able to hold through that entire move, right, to lock in just about 63% profit. So we could see here how this was very close. If you were just looking at MACD, you would have already potentially, with only MACD, looked to have exited this trade upon that cross, right? We saw a little bit of selling coming in, and then all of a sudden, crazy move to the upside. Within our band system, that was a quick move off our purple band up above, very far outside of our blue band. So this was a crazy trade. Let's dive into the session this morning, and this is going to be kind of uncut, and you'll be able to just kind of watch me live, break down the charts and talk about everything. I trade live every single morning. I send my students my entries and my exits, and so check this out. It wasn't just myself that was able to get in on APP. Well, look at this. One of my students here, Rob, inside my mentorship, made $626. Another one of my students here, he was able to make $1,400 or 70%. So this is something I do, I offer, I've been doing for over 4 years. I've been running this mentorship. So I will put a link in the description below if you're interested. You can see what I offer. And if you do join, I look forward to working with you. So, I mean, we're looking pretty clean here. Quick rejection before the open, second attempt with another rejection off our high tide, reverted to our mid tide, back down to our low tide. Look at that. That's super clean. I mean, now at this point, what I would do, if we're just speaking generally, right? I'm not trading SPY. I'm obviously waiting for my software, and at which point my software does identify a trade for me to take, then I will go potentially take that trade, right? And so when I'm going to just give you a trade example, but it wouldn't, I wouldn't trade SPY. I'm just saying, like right now, if we look at VWAP generally, if we got rejected off our top VWAP, moved down to our middle VWAP and bounced off, and now we're trading, bounced off our low VWAP, now we're trading slightly below our middle. It's kind of same scenario as yesterday. You'd set your stop slightly above middle VWAP, give the market some time. If you're short, that would be your stop, right? So give it whatever 3 to 5 1-minute candles or 1 5-minute candle. So if we break, just keep in mind the market likes to probe areas, shake buyers out, or let's just say shake traders out. Regardless of longs or shorts, market probes areas, shakes traders out, typically remounts or retraces, again, whether we're long or short. If you're taking shorts this morning, there's your stop, right? Which, like I said, let's wait and see if this 5-minute candle closes above. The other way to approach it would be if we're long. I would trail my stop. I would have my stop be on our bottom VWAP. Same thing to the downside. Give it, 4 to 5 1-minute candles to make sure that was invalidated. That, if we did break below, that would be, confirmation that our stop had been invalidated. It'll trail up, right? So if you're using either middle VWAP, bottom VWAP as a stop or take profit, they are going to move, right? They're going to move as the price of the stock is moving. So this will naturally trail up. And we always want to be aware how far off price is trading in relative to our mean and in relative to our bottom or our low tide or our top or our high tide, because we'll see sometimes price will trade super far off. It will always move in the direction of price to the upside or downside, but it could move pretty far off. Anyway, so in that instance, if you're long, now I would set TP at top VWAP. I mean, you could then even set a stop if we break above at middle. So ideally, if we're trading mean reversion, you're trading a move either off of tops down to mean or off of lows up to mean, right? Because we're making the assumption that we know because the market's balanced, we're going to make a move back to our mean. And so using whether it's using VWAP, I mean, again, there's different ways that you could trade VWAP, but from a mean reversion perspective, that's how you would want to approach it. We traded back into our mean. You would have taken shorts here, taken profit, longs here, taken profit, and you just trade around that mean. And again, that's going out and just catching a bunch of small fish. You're going to come back with a lot. It's going to be the, let's call it hard manual labor way of paying your rent through trading, but it works. Right now, I try to capitalize on bigger trending, not necessarily bigger trending days, but a longer. I mean, that would be like scalping, right? If you just took 2 trades already, but a longer day trade, right? Because I'm in my trades for almost 3 hours, but I'm able to use the envelope system. This really helps me hold trades much longer. And again, with the envelope system, we want to just look back and see like where we've traded, right, on that specific stock we're trading, where our bars have charted, have they charted on our red band, our green, our gold, our purple, our blue, and if we're in balance, if the market is balanced, if we're trading in horizontal and we revert really far off our mean, depends on how far, right? And then we can make a decision at that point based off of how far above or how far below, how much we want to try to hold it. A lot of the times you'll see my trades, they'll be, and the mean, the trading envelope system gives us more space to trade off the mean, like relative to VWAP. I mean, if we are trading up here at let's say we're trading up at our outermost blue band, we're 1% off of our mean, okay? 1% to the upside or to the downside. So we're going to have more margin for profit, call it that, and keep in mind it will move. So with, the VWAP, we're not going to have as much space. So 0.08, like that's not much of a margin to capitalize on, 0.08. That's why you normally end up, you're not taking really short stabs. You would use it like I explained, where, it wouldn't be a short to take profit, long to take profit. It would be okay, let's look, rejection off top, break below. Let's get in some shorts here upon the break. Great. That's a, confirmation of technically true lower low, if we want to look at it that way, because we can look pre-market. We, had been forming lower lows on our bottom VWAP and then broke off. So, that was a pretty clear downtrend to capitalize on. Like kind of same situation here off the open. That was a great example. You already would have seen here how traders would have gotten stopped out on this 1 minute, 5 minute candle. If you gave it 5 1 minutes or 1 5 minute, right, just depending on the time frame, you'd still be in this trade. So we would still be in this short, and I would hold it longer. And then we can jump on our envelope system. And like I said, kind of to come back to where I was, we will move from being really, so it's not oversold, it's not overbought. This is not treated like an RSI. Right? This is not an RSI system. Again, we're using fib numbers, and each band, okay, these are envelopes. They're actually set up as envelopes, okay? So they're going to mirror each other, and each one is assigned a different fib number, okay? So then this is just an 8-day EMA, right? This is just our moving average. And so if we are looking at bars, this is a bar chart, we want to see what bands our bars are forming on. And so I use the bar chart to identify how far we're off our mean, how much we have on the table. how much we have to come back. So whether it's a retracement or to push up, whether we're long or whether we're short, knowing that if we're balanced, we will move back to our 8-day EMA. Okay, and so also referencing, hey, in the last couple days, what were our highest bands we traded on? You guys see the examples every day, and I want to try to do a couple live examples because I feel like it would play out a little different. Not necessarily different, but it would, for you guys, like to spectate and watch, it would be a little bit different. We look at the high to low to mean to low to high, right? And we kind of look at the ebb and flow of that analogy. So red to blue to red to blue. So you could have taken that position, right? You could have been involved. And right now we're just on blue. Let's just zoom in and let's talk about where we're at. Whenever we see huge movement, huge vertical moves, right? I would look at lift first. Always first, right? I'm going to look at the top left. Why are we going to look at our top left? We want to identify, is lift in horizontal or is it in vertical? Is it balanced or is it not balanced? We can actually see here, it looks like we are really close to moving to vertical on lift. Look how close our MAs are. They have almost come together. When they come together, what happens? We move to vertical when we cross, okay? So it's not a crossover system. Keep that in mind. So now knowing that, we can kind of pop around. And it does seem pretty apparent. Like, look it, we're starting to squeeze up on the MACD. We just got a cross, movement to the upside. Maybe it would be easier for you guys to look at candles, but we should really be using bars, right? We bounced off our mean, but now we're trading up at our highest band on our envelope system. This was a little bit concerning. This is just not a clean one to trade, right? Now we're pushing, so it looks like we might be ready to go into vertical. I've obviously been teaching you guys, look at that, right? We're going into vertical. So I've been teaching you guys mean reversion, knowing that we trade around our mean, and it's kind of like the more consistent way of making profit. You're going to come back with something a lot more days. Where we could have just taken a stab at trading, you get involved before or at that moment, right around when we're about to go vertical. And at that point, we use the ladder analogy, and we know when this happens, right, people start getting involved. It's like a ladder because, if you look at a ladder, you've got different steps, right? And so each person is going to take a step. And so if you get involved, you're going to have to get involved on the next highest step. And so that's what pushes price up. We've got this, oh, wow, that's a really bad ladder, isn't it? Steps. Okay, so now we had a buyer get involved, another buyer get involved, higher price, another buyer get involved, higher price. Now I want to come in. I have to get in on that next highest price, that next highest step. So that's why price ends up pushing up or pushing down. It can be an upside down ladder. That works too. And we can understand, okay, when more people are getting involved in a move, inevitably there's only going to be so many people that are able to time that move. And if you're long, you get in and you sell at a higher price, if you're trading shares or if you're buying the option contract. If you're short, same thing. Like, you got to time that low. If you're long, you got to time that high. And it's just really hard to do, right? Trying to time and find a perfect top or trying to time a perfect low is really hard as well. But there are ways we can use these tools to do that. Let's look at our MACD. Looks like maybe volume's starting to die down here. Speeds have increased a lot since we popped there. This might have been when we would have wanted to get involved, and maybe we would have wanted to get out here, but let's say we're short here. I'd be pretty confident getting short at these highs, knowing that we have to revert back into our envelope system. Would it be a reversion all the way to our mean? Would we be able to hold that? That would be a pretty decent sized profit. We could even just take a stab at our top purple band and just trade back down to here. And then if we look at middle VWAP, we could also just trade back down to middle VWAP. And let's just remember, fundamentally, why is, any stock we're trading moving? Why is it going to move up? Why is it going to move down? It's this constant negotiation, I think is the best word. Okay, this constant negotiation of market participants trying to decide on fair value, right? On what that share price of that specific stock they're trading should be worth at that moment in time and every second following. And so you have to realize in options, like we can see we're selling to someone, a real person. We're buying from someone, a real person. There's only so many people we could buy to or buy from or sell to, right? Now, I obviously am going to take all the trades that come from the software. That's my edge, right? Without that, I'd just be kind of sitting here not knowing what to trade. And then when it comes to directional bias, that obviously, if you're looking at any stock here, maybe that was a long on PLTR and I would have gotten burned, right? If I decide on my own I want to go long, but if the software sent me puts, I'm doing well right now. So again, it's about having an edge. You got to have the tools that work with your edge. But you can see here how we just guessed. If we flipped a coin and we picked a random stock and we said shorts on PLTR, we'd be doing good right now. But if we also understood why PLTR was probably a little too high and why it would more than likely come back, it was because we were trading really far outside of our envelope system. And look at, we've come back down to purple. So that could be our TP. Like I said, that would have been TP right there. That would have been a quick trade, or it's middle VWAP. Or we hold to our mean because we know we're going to come back into our mean. We'll revert to our mean. All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Subscribe for daily market recaps Monday through Friday. I'll see you hopefully over inside the mentorship. Links in the description below. Smash a like on this video if you did enjoy.